Ray Ratto, NBC Sports Bay Area senior insider, and I wanted to talk to Ray about what's going on with my Oakland Raiders. Good morning, Ray. Tell me what's going on here with behind the scenes with the Raiders and the possibility of is Derek Carr on this team next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, yes.
He will not be traded.
If you want to say next July, no.
Okay.
I don't think so. The salary cap implications of moving him now are too considerable. But if they wait till after June 1st, they save a boatload of money on the cap. Plus, if you really wanted to stick your finger in the eye of a fan base that you're already abandoning, that would be the way. Because as erratic as Carr has been, he basically is now the only thing left for this fan base to cling to. Marshawn Lynch is probably not going to play again this year. Amari Cooper's gone, even though, he was sort of problematic, and Khalil Mack's gone. So really, you trade your quarterback, and basically you are saying we are closed for business. Don't come around much anymore. And that's the place where Mark Davis probably tells John, calm down. I'm getting hammered here. So no, he'll be. If they trade him, it's a level of insanity that I think Jon Gruden is capable of, but he'll pay for it for years to come.
All right, but if the Raiders weren't moving to Vegas, would they be making all of these moves?
Probably, because, look, Jon Gruden lives in a football-only vacuum. And one of the reasons why I think he was surprised that this rebuild has played so poorly is because he's not on the same timeline everybody else is. He's the coach of the Raiders. He's not necessarily the coach of the Oakland Raiders. And I think that was the disconnect. And in fact, he referenced it yesterday in his sort of casual midweek presser. He said, we want to do the best we can for the Oakland Raiders and for the Raiders. It's like they're two separate entities to him. And, that's an insane way to live, but it's the deal he took for the $100 million. And he sort of compartmentalized this into Oakland can't be my problem. So, yeah, I think he would have blown this up the way he blew it up, but I think the backlash would not have been nearly as great. There would have been backlash because the Raiders did a complete rebuild 6 years ago after Al Davis died, and now they're doing another one. And this is not a franchise that's been particularly proud over the last quarter century. So the fans would have been hot, but not like this, because he not only said, I want to bring a championship to Oakland in his first presser, which we knew was, not very likely, but to say, well, when I said championship, what I meant was a 2-14 year. I mean, that's where you sort of lose people who are already hot about losing their team.
But I also look at this, Ray, and sometimes when you send a known commodity and you trade them, like Khalil Mack and even Amari Cooper, but if we take a step back and we're not knee-deep in fandom and go, okay, did they make the right moves here, given what the bigger picture is? Did they get enough for Khalil Mack? And they got a first-round pick from the Cowboys from Amari Cooper. Are those positives or being spun that way in Oakland?
Nobody is spinning anything as anything because they know nobody's listening. The Cooper deal is a good deal because they got more than they had any right to expect, given the fact that they had no more use for him. They didn't know how to get him to be the receiver they drafted. And I think they had just finally said, look, let's just move him. And the fact that Jerry Jones is equally desperate and equally nuts and offered a first, there's nothing wrong with that deal in a vacuum. The Mac deal, I think, you could defend the notion, well, they got 2 firsts, but Jon Gruden's drafting history is not good. Yeah. And in either event, you're not going to get a player in the draft as good as Khalil Mack. So I think that's harder. That's a harder one to sell. But it's more just the idea that Gruden was brought here to make the fan base feel good in the 2 years it had left. And instead, he sort of said, well, what I need to do is not what you want to see. And so they're not buying it. And they're not, so in answer to your question, yeah, it would have been more benign were they staying, but because they're not, it's really, everybody hates everybody now. It's a mudslide.
But has he lost the locker room?
I think there are a lot of people in the locker room who know that they are very much short timers. And I think that, that as much as anything is true. Because when you move Mac and then you move Cooper after saying you're not going to move Cooper, all of a sudden everybody's in play. And when everybody's in play, everybody's nervous. And the coach can't tell you anything you're going to believe because he's already on the hook for having lied to you before. I mean, when he told the team that he wasn't going to trade Amari Cooper and then, quote, something came up, well, you don't speak in absolutes. You just don't. You say, look, we're not in a good place right now. Anything could happen, but I'm not looking to trade anybody. But you sort of couch it so that there's a possibility that something could happen. From what we've been able to glean so far, all they heard was we're not trading Amari Cooper, and then days later Cooper is traded, and then they don't get told right away. They learn from swine like us. And that really frosted them. So, yeah, I think in large part, for a bunch of different reasons, he has lost the room. And I don't know that he can get it back because he can't make a convincing argument that these are the guys he wants to build with, because they're clearly not the guys he wants to build with. He wants to redo this team from the ground up. So they know they're playing for another job somewhere. I don't believe they're going to quit, but I don't believe they're going to give the 101% that Gruden always insists they do.
Ray, good to talk to you. We appreciate the time as always.
Well, following Greg Kinnear is so easy for anybody.
Thank you, Ray. It's Ray Ratto, NBC
Take
Sports
care.
Bay Area.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.